Just wanted to talk to you today about backcountry etiquette and coming on this trip, the Great Adventure, Bernie May, the backpacking trip, Connections Mountain Adventures of Connections Consulting. And when you come, what I'll do is send you a list of everything you need to bring, and then you show up at the trailhead with your contents, no more, no less. And then we head out for the 4-day journey and adventure, and you learn something about you. Because if you don't know you, you don't know better, right? So, anyways, amen to that. So then we go through in backcountry etiquette. I want you to show up sure that you maybe know some things ahead. You've taken time to learn and then, inquire about things and be ready. But if you're not sure when you get here, I'll take you through some basics. We get to the campsite at the end of our day's journey. There's a biffy outhouse, so you'll have that accommodation. But if you don't happen to use it because you're not in your normal regular flow of things, I'll teach you how to take a shit in the woods halfway between one campsite and the other if need be. You gotta go when you gotta go. So there's a way to do it and not litter and be public with it and be private and be neat and clean up after yourself so the rodents don't get into all the mess of toilet paper and strings and things. But whatever, we can talk about that when you get here. I'll teach you proper stepping methods in your journey. There's uphill, there's downhill, steep decline, rocks, roots, mud and things, and at times. And you need to know how to posture yourself for proper footing, heel, toe, toe, heel, so you don't hurt your ankle. And carrying your back properly, backpack, the right body posture on your hips and shoulders so you don't hurt your back. There's strain. You're carrying between 30 and 50 pounds depending on who you are in the group and whether I portion more of the group gear to you, man or woman, whoever's got the strength to do it, and all that. And then just infection, keeping you from, the common way people get infected out in the wilderness is they don't clean their own hands. You need to keep your hands clean every so often, and you're eating and stuff, and you don't want to get germs from your own hands. And that's really the main thing about sickness. The water's good and pure up here. Canadian Rockies got some of the best pure water. You don't even need filters like in places when you go hiking in South Africa or South America or even, the state of California. You got to take a water filter pump. You don't here. And not everybody recommends that, but I do. And I've been doing it for many years. This is my 8th time on this particular adventure trail that I'll take you on. So that's good. And, we get to the campsite. I'm sure you'll know how to set up your tent, but if you need any assistance from me, I'll give it. And, just food. I'll guarantee you 2 hot meals on this 4-day journey, and that's it. The rest, we got power bars and grilled cheese sandwich, that kind of stuff. And peanuts, maybe. That's up to you. I don't even recommend bringing them. You need a fairly good protein and a bit of carbs. And that's the main thing on the journey. And we get enough of both in the adequate diet. It's, you're going to have a bit of discomfort out here. It's not the pleasure of home in your sofa bed or whatever. You sleep with one eye open a bit and you're hearing the sounds of nature, but you're rested. You've got a new kind of adrenaline level in you that you don't even have at home. And if you're tired when you get home because of the endurance factor, make sure you take an extra day off from your travel day, from work to rest up. But you'll enjoy this. I'll help you with the food if you need advice, but you'll bring it on the list contents. And then, just meeting friends out here. One of the sure ways to not get hurt in the wilderness is knowing how to get along well with people at these campsites. There's a communal table where you meet and cook your food, and people are from all over the world here in Banff, this big, glorious backyard, and sometimes, like, how do you get along with people? That's a question, in society. And, you want someone to beat you up, well, don't go looking for an argument. People are here, it's a calm, preserved environment. People want some peace. They want to soak up the sun and enjoy nature and just the quietness of it. And we get groups of hikers coming in, late in the evening towards dark, and some come in early because they're early risers, so they get into camp between 5 and 6, and then so they've had supper by the time other groups come in around 8 to 9, because those guys started later and didn't leave camp as early. Or some guys hike longer distances. I recommend 10K a day. That's just a good, adequate amount. And so just being respectful around camp. When you get in late, people are sleeping. And if you're leaving early and they're sleeping in, it's not that they slept in because they went to bed at the same time as you, right? They got in later, so they went to bed later, so they're relying on sleeping in, so you're quieter when you leave in the morning and that kind of stuff. And just how to handle your gear if you're not sure. All the weather elements. We don't have too much rain. You can see on my tent, we got a little shot of rain here at the last camp last night at base camp on the Great Adventure Journey. But it's good accommodation. You got nothing to worry about. You'll have good equipment that I'll recommend if you've never done this, and good tent. Exposure won't be there. We want you to live better and live well, and it's divorce isn't the issue why people come out and do this stuff. I've met thousands of people on my journey in life that have done this kind of stuff through the years. Many of the people I've met, and it's because they want an adventure, married people alike. Some people come as couples, and that's fine. And but hey, Brad Pitt, I wanted to invite you specifically because I admire that one organization that you started up to help feed the poor in Africa, and water wells and medical, much like Bill Gates did with his money. And I acquire that in my vestige as something that I honor, and I hope you keep doing it. And there's a good cause to always be helping the poor. Feed the poor, because they'll always be poor. And just help people. Not everybody makes it up out of that ground where they have their own entrepreneurship or whatever. And so I admire that, and I guess you and Angelina did that together before you got divorced. And but I'm suspecting it's still your organization. So come on my trip if you want. I've always invited movie stars, individuals, rock stars, CEOs, even some of the old gangbanger drug lord types that I met 10 to 15 years ago up in central Alberta and Red Deer and stuff. And you know who you are. I invite you to come. It's like last time though, I don't allow guns on my trip, and I don't want anybody on any kind of illicit drugs. You got to have your senses about you out here in nature. Well, you do at home too, don't you? And even in your neighborhood, right? But it's different out here, right? Because there's the wild factor. You don't always see wild animals running into town, and you might meet the odd. You do sometimes. I had a buck deer chase me on the front end of the trip, but I just stood up to him. What do you want? You get out of here. And I might have said another word explicit in there, but you be the bigger man. You be the bigger buck than he is. And I don't recommend that to everybody if you can't carry that load and chase off something that's littler than you. But that's the way it went, and he left, but he was charging me, and that's uncommon. Doesn't happen every day, but you got to be paying attention and look around, and it's good. But hey, Angelina, I invite you to come on the trip. You and Brad are divorced, but Brad, I'll tell you something. I think good family government exists in even divorce, where you want to make sure the focus is on relating to your kids And, you know, divorce is hard on people, and nobody wants ex-in-laws recommending things that you don't want for your own children, or ex-spouses wanting to fight you because they're still bitter about marriage, divorce issues, and the healing hasn't went through. And I mean, everybody's trying to fight the good fight, right, of faith and get along in life. And you know, when you get married, it's supposed to be for sick and health, poor and rich, or bad and good. And you know, and people that believe that stick together and make it through. People that fall apart and don't believe that, or someone runs off on the other one or whatever, you don't want all those old issues. You want to focus on your kids, right? Well, I think anybody that comes on my trip can get a new head on and just think about life differently, and overcome and get past some of those suspecting issues. So, I mean, Angelina, I invite you to spend a week or 4 days with a good sir like me. You might go back, you and Brad will make it to the next level in steering your kids even through divorce that nobody suspected, because you were the new couple we all looked at and thought were great, you know, in Hollywood and all that. So go with that. I invite you. I invite anybody, and it's clearly Bernie May here and his organization, Bernie May, me, and we welcome anybody into Connections Consulting that wants to join. We got a good faith background, body, spirit, soul, mind, and the whole leadership accommodation of all that. So live better, live well. And, you know, it's kind of a glorious day here right now. I got so much peace and quiet. Everybody's left. I'm leaving at a different time. I'll get back on my time, and that's good. And I just say, anybody that's more than a conqueror, get out here and join this band and become part of it and get on with Connections Consulting. And even if you're not, you know, even if your entry point into our company isn't through corporate training, sales, leadership, and customer service, or so forth, one of our projects, it's fine. You can join our company and become a customer as your only entry point and exist only in this. Maybe this is your only way of dealing with this, is coming on the great adventure with Bernie May on the hike journey, and we'll be doing canoe trips in the future, and we might do kayak as well. I've said I'd take leadership groups all over the world, but I got my 4 base, my almost written in stone trips here in Western Canada that I like and I'm sure of and I can do. I've got so much background in it, but anything else I'd explore and search out and make sure the safe factors are in, all the adequate research is done, you know. So if you wanted to go somewhere else in the world and you suspected I might want to lead it, you call me, and that's good. 403-519-3495, Bernie May, Connections Consulting with the Connections Mountain Adventure subdivision here, and www.connectionscon.ca. Look us up on YouTube. We got some new feeds, and as well, make sure you link over to our training vault on the Facebook side. And we got some new website development things coming in the future, but we're going to be quieter now in some of this stuff because we're working behind the scenes on other things in our company. So take care, have a good day, live better, and live well.